I originally went to the general practitioner, and they gave a look and gave a listen, and because I couldn't digest literally anything. It was terrible violence in the esophagus, and the stomach was roiling. And they gave me some antacid drugs, 24-hour antacids. I saw the chiropractor several times through this period of about 4 months, and he seemed to give me some relief for about 2 days, but he was very concerned. He wanted me to see a specialist. I saw a specialist who sent a scope down into it was an endoscopy, and found that I had what he called possible Barrett's esophagus, which is basically subacute precancerous. And again, gave me some drug samples of some antacids to try. But that gave me no relief at all. So I was essentially at the end of my rope when I found John Howard. And what's really particularly interesting is that 3 months before any of the problems started, I remember having a symptom that lasted about 8 weeks that was dramatic. It started with this hot itch, burn, from the hairline all the way back to the crown. And that was excruciating when I would have even a barber touch that area. I knew it meant something, but the other 3 doctors that I spoke to, it didn't register on their radar at all. But when I told Mr. Howard about this, he knew exactly what I was talking about. He pointed right to his chart and on his little model, and there it was, the points that meant something was wrong with the spleen, I believe. And he was able to treat it in such a way that I was expecting it to last maybe 3 days or 4 days like the chiropractic did, but it didn't. It went on for a week of relief, and this was totally profound. The symptoms actually began to disappear within an hour. And I thought it would take several visits for acupuncture to actually register in the system. The body needs time sometimes to get used to this stuff. But it didn't. It was immediate relief. And it was the easiest thing I think I've ever experienced.
As I told you, I had a mishap, and I was in horrendous pain. I could barely walk. I couldn't bend. I couldn't get out of bed. It was terrible. John was treating me for these various pains and aches. Before Christmas, John came over. He said, "You're going to walk after I do this." He put I've never seen little tiny needles in both ears, 4 on either side. He said, after 4 days, they will fall out themselves, these little tiny needles, and you'll be walking. P.S. That's exactly what happened. I couldn't believe it. All but 1 needle fell out, and he said I could take that out myself. And I was walking normally. Now that was wonderful. I hadn't walked, it was about 5 weeks. So I wore a nice pair of slacks. They were fairly snug on me. And I would wear them every time I went. And eventually, they were very comfortable on me. So I think it would be more in inches or bulk or whatever. Never questioned him about that. But the pants fit me very nicely. And I think I might go back to that again. So that's something. I don't think there is anything that they can't mend or whatever by using acupuncture. I don't want my body filled up with all these alien whatever. So that's why I think acupuncture is the answer to so many of our ailments, quote unquote. There's no medicine involved. But some people just don't believe it. And if it hurt, I would be the first one to tell you that it hurt. But it never did hurt me. But I think for colds and sinuses, certainly, tension, stress, I know it's worked for me, especially stress, when I've been under a lot of stress.
I think I'm a fairly serious runner. I probably log an average of about 2,000 miles a year. So I try to run, between 30 and 60 miles every week. You get injuries, and the first injury that John treated me for was plantar fasciitis, which involves a tendon in the foot. And you can treat it with ice, you can treat it with stretching, and ultimately, if that doesn't work, you can treat it with a cortisone shot. It's a nagging type of injury. When you get up in the morning, it hurts, it's hard to walk. As the day goes on, it stretches out, but it starts all over again. In 1 or 2 treatments, it was gone. The pain was gone. He's treated me for other injuries, IT band injuries I've had, which is where I've had pain in the outside of my knee. John treated me probably 2 or 3 times with acupuncture on that. It was gone. I missed maybe less than 2 weeks of training. I'm involved with a running charity called the American Running Association, and through them, I got the opportunity to go out to the Nike Sports Lab in Oregon. They took a blood sample, a baseline blood sample, and then put me on a treadmill, and I would run on the treadmill for 5 minutes at a time, and then there would be a 3-minute break, and every time that there was a break, they would take another blood sample. As the workout went on, they hooked me up to a mask that had a tube coming out of it and was going into some kind of machine where they were measuring that. And I talked to them about acupuncture also, because at this time, John had helped me out already with several injuries. And they, at that time, were considering bringing a doctor of Chinese medicine in to work with their athletes. I think you have to have the positive attitude that you know what, this could help me. And I'm willing to try things, and I've been thrilled with the results I've had. I mean, I'm almost 47 years old, and I'm able to run the kind of miles that I run, and I miss very few workouts because of injury now. Injuries that took months to heal before were healing in a week or 2. And I'm not getting any younger. It should take longer for these things to heal, not shorter. I have recommended John to a lot of the people I know in the running community because of the success I've had. Really a relaxing experience. When he's finished and takes out the needles, you're almost asleep.